This is things you might have heard from the Conversation Project. The Conversation Project is proud to be. We really pride ourselves for being your home for headline news, information, and pop culture references that are worth chatting about. And chatting about today, the restoration of AWS, the big service that took everybody down yesterday. Also, Kenny Loggins in the danger zone, or technically Trump's in the danger zone. And the World Series is set for Friday, and we have 8 stories total. So, 5 other stories to talk about this morning. You helped us pick out as conversation topics. Go to our website, this is the conversationproject.com, and help us figure out which topics are conversational every single day. You can see the replays of the things we do there, the backups, and of course, what's really cool is you get a chance to see what goes on behind the scenes all over the place, including the headlines, plus our sponsors and our partnership ideas, things we do to help you join and help us do it better on here. And of course, we're going to spotlight sponsor that's going to be Ground News on today. Ground News, one of our long-standing sponsors. Even when we had some issues swapping out from some of our affiliates, Ground News was able to stick around with us. We're glad they do because they give you great stuff. We are very happy to partner with them continuously. Now, right now, let's get into the headlines for today. Today being the 21st of October, 2025. Oh, by the way, the government shutdown now at its second largest one in modern history. The guy that owns the first one is Trump 35. So there you go. Going for no end in sight. We'll see how that works out. Not talking about that one today. 8 other things to talk about, including Amazon. AWS restores service after major outage disrupts top websites and apps across the internet. And this is like everyone in the internet. After US East 1 failure, a back to normal call because of a DNS event. Now service. Essentially, something did not allow passwords to go through, and bam, nobody got on the internet for a good chunk of the day. Load balancers and data services are basically down, knocking out major apps offline, knocking them offline for both of the day yesterday. Platforms like Snapchat and Roblox, banking portals, and government sites are all shuttered. Some teams are still clearing some backlogs, still some issues 24 hours later or 36 hours later. But the big deal is the big deal with everyone kind of going onto AWS, a very popular server, very powerful server system, and vulnerable when something like this happens. A third of the internet basically had an issue yesterday. So if you used something yesterday, chances are it didn't quite work the way it should have for quite a bit of time. The big lesson for products and ops teams are to avoid single region dependencies and design gracefulness for degradation when AWS actually has issues. So AWS has to fix itself, make sure there are some redundancies, and people who rely on AWS, which are a lot of people these days, need to have some sort of small backup or larger backup to switch to in case something like this happens. Status page postmortems are going on to basically write up some how bad this was or how it taught us some lessons going forward, and a renewal on security and scrutiny of cloud computing concentration. Marketing teams will plan some always on outage comm templates, so basically some way to switch to something when you're not on, and learn they don't have to improvise and make things up because now that you've seen the storm coming, you know another storm may come, you should be prepared for it. Investors are basically shrugged off. Basically, everyone who had a dog in the fight are back online, making the money they need to. All businesses are back to normal. All governments back to normal. And resilience was basically waiting it out because it was not a cyber attack; it was a DNS thing. I joke about someone who worked. It's basically somebody tripped over a wire at the knock, or somebody hit one update on the way out the door for vacation and realized 2 days in that oops, I should have waited for that update. Things like that. So far, so good. Nothing major about the outage other than losing a day's worth of work in some places, but it is a learning experience for all of us. An appeals court rules that Trump can actually command Oregon National Guard troops. The deployment actually is on hold for the moment because still some paperwork, I guess. The divided Ninth Circuit Court said the president likely acted within statutory authority when he federalized the Oregon National Guard units, but the bar deployment is still held back for a moment. Here's the deal: DOJ gets a win. Here's legal theory. The state gets a bit of time to play with, so they have one there on. So which basically everybody gets a win on this one. Politics moves faster than the troops, fortunately, so it's going to take a while for the deployments to actually turn into action boots on the ground. The decision sets up a high-stakes merit fight over the Insurrection Act, which has been talked about a lot in the last 8 months, the boundaries of it, and state control of their own troops, their own guards, if you will. Communications takeaways from this one have framing the order as narrow and temporary. So if you make it right on the money, it usually has a way to get through all the scrutiny. That's something that's interesting, but also very scary. Officials are stressing that protest policing norms and de-escalation as litigation continues. Please don't fight with the officers. You continue to wear the funny outfits, but don't poke the bear. Well, watch for state attorney generals to actually coordinate for amicus briefings to make sure this doesn't happen to them, unless they are friendly to the administration, the red states, and they're going to ask them on their own and try to bypass the blue cities where they're trying to send them to. Loggins has some words for President Donald Trump for using Danger Zone, the AI video bombing the No King protest. Now, it wasn't technically Trump. I don't think Trump's actually programming the prompts to make the videos. You just seeing somebody do it, go from there. So it's somebody else's issue using Kenny Lodge's copyright for Danger Zone in this one. A few weeks back, I did the story about the Russ bot is the Reaper thing, and got a bunch of hits on my YouTube because hey, you're using the Blue Oyster Cult. I'm not using Blue Oyster Cult. It's a parody. Hey, this sounds like Blue Oyster Cult. Cult. No, it's not Blue Oyster Cult. It's a parody, so I'm using a free use from the guy that used that one. And then it got to the point where I just shared the revenue with whoever took the revenue, so it was okay. Here's an issue where someone made a video using Danger Zone and fair use is okay until an artist says no. And Loggins didn't like the fact that Trump used the clip and the clip had Danger Zone in it. Of course, we talked about the trip for yesterday. The clip of King Trump, a crowned airplane pilot whose mask was not even on his nose and the crown was kind of weird anyway, who flew over what looked like New York City, dropping sludge, brown stuff. You can go where you want to go with that one, onto protesters at a large rally, supposedly a No Kings rally. Now, the rights and optics collide. This one where copyrights, moral rights, and campaign fair use arguments will surface. These aren't simple. Many people have sued or asked very nicely to not have to sue Donald Trump for playing their music at the Trump rallies and Trump events. As president, it gets a little less dicey, but as he's campaigning and he's a private citizen in a sense, they have issues with what's going on. If they don't believe in what the president stands for, they can call that off. Many musicians and artists don't want their stuff used for many politicians who hear things that are popular and then they get pulled back. But for social media teams, here's the thing. Don't amplify an asset unless you're clear to use the composition and the masters of what's going on. Like I said, I used the video for Russell Vault using the Blue Oyster Cult, and it turned into a couple of days of question marks from YouTube. This was straight up Danger Zone from Kenny Loggins from the hit classic Top Gun, and it goes there. This is Kenny Loggins not necessarily jumping the line for the No Kings protest, just saying, hey, I own the rights. I should get some pennies off this. Please, Mr. Trump, don't use my stuff. So a bulldozer showed up, knocked down some walls, and so now we know that construction is underway for Trump's reported $250 million White House ballroom project. Crews began the demolition part of the east wing just sort of because to make way for a glass-walled ballroom, the biggest structural change since the Trump balcony. And well, the Rose Garden's not so large, but you know what's going on. I'm sorry, Truman balcony. Let's give Truman his props. The biggest change since the Truman balcony, not the Trump one. I guess I'm rejecting it. The reaction was mixed. Earlier assurances stood that nothing would be torn down until they started knocking down walls, and the visual demonstration now show the coverage of things being torn down. The biggest thing is permits. Donald Trump says we don't need permits to knock things down, just to build new things. And the person behind the actual project is like, yeah, we don't need permits to knock things down, just to build new things. So, yeah, who's funding this thing? Private donations underwrite most of the project. Watchdogs question the approval and oversight of the sequencing going forward. With the strategy of this one being events without tinted overflows, are symbolic and read like a legacy building amid austerious headlines. There's a government shutdown, but we got construction workers knocking down the White House to get ready for a ballroom. Press teams across DC are now recalibrating their backdrops and site locations for televised events because a lot of them stood out in that backyard with the backdrop being the White House, which now looks like not this way. I think that looks like that. That's what it looks like. That. I don't see myself in the monitor, so you see what it looks like. It don't look so great right now. Right now, we take a pause for the news stories, 4 down, 4 more to go for the morning for this Tuesday, and let you know that we need you in our midst. It's not a secret. We can't do YouTube without people watching us, and especially since YouTube pays us for people watching us. So what we need you to do is like the video you're watching right now, whether it's on YouTube or it's on X or Facebook. Those things work as well. We like you to like videos because when I see you like the video, I know I'm doing a good job. I'll do more of those things. When the algorithm sees you like the video, they'll think we're doing a good job. And they'll show more people and give them a chance to see if they like it, see what's going on. Also, it means that numbers grow. If you share it with like-minded folks, they will hopefully take a look at it, gain some numbers as well. And of course, if you're not getting these feeds, not getting these videos into your feeds, subscribe via Facebook, via X, via YouTube, also via TikTok, because TikTok where a lot of the hot takes are there as well. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter and other things as well. Go to our website, find links, all those things you may have missed. That way, you can get this thing directly with us and be a part of our news nerd nation. Like what we're doing on Facebook and X, you can be a part of these feeds we do. So every 50 minutes or so, we post articles on X and Facebook for you to engage in. Always, I got a little sty in my eye going this morning. So you can help us vote up the stories to pick for each morning for this thing and some of our hot takes. If you blast on a hot take that gets late latency, we will consider that for what we have time to do. Only so many stories, only so much time. We're glad to have you around for what we have. We had to shift out a couple things this morning. So to be honest, some things are a bit out of place. This is a story we replaced with another story that was a bit sad. But essentially, I don't know why I missed this. I guess because I went to bed early and was watching wrestling last night. But last night was the game 7 for the Blue Jays versus the Mariners, and I had a bit of a rooting interest because our local affiliate team for AAA is a Mariners affiliate, so we were pulling for the Mariners to get this win. But it was not to be said as George Springer hit a 3-run homer to basically put the game in this way for the actual Blue Jays. It was 3-1 in the way of the Mariners. That home run hit, the home run stand got everyone up and put them ahead and kept them ahead for the 4-3 win in Toronto. The first pennant they've won since 1993. So the Seattle Mariners, one more time, have been bumped. Not a chance for their first drop to the World Series. The power was early for Seattle with Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, but of course not enough to hit that big home run blast that happened late. We saw a lot of great plays last night, and so we got a great deal coming up where the best team in baseball, bar none, with the best player in baseball, bar none, the Dodgers are sitting around and waiting for a Friday start against the Blue Jays coming up. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been named the ALCS MVP. He had 385 for the series, 3 homers, 4 walks throughout that time. Not bad work. Game 1 for Friday, Jays overcame a 0-2 home start to win the ALCS. So this one should be a fairly good matchup. A lot of excited folks ready to see this wrap up for the season. A tip of a person headed to the Atlanta airport stopped an attack where the suspect was arrested inside the terminal. Where Atlanta police actually arrested Billy Joe Cagle, who's 49 years old, inside the Hartsfield-Jackson South Terminal minutes after a family tip warned he was live streaming to plan to shoot at the airport. This is something we're very glad to be talking about this way, not either way. Officers say Cagle parked a pickup outside the terminal with a Springfield AR-15, 27 rounds. Body cam and surveillance video show him hovering near the TSA area before he was identified and detained. Police credit rapid interagency coordination between Cartersville PD flagging the live stream and airport units moving to make contact, and APD made the arrest within roughly 15 minutes of the alert. It was quick. It was simple. It worked very well in this case. Now, APD lists the charges as terroristic threats, criminal attempt to commit aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during a felony, and a felon in possession. The FBI is assisting with the investigation to make sure all the dots are dotted, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, everything is perfect. City leaders are emphasizing the role the family made in reporting and mental health concerns of the man and averting the mass casualty event at the world's busiest airport. Airport operations resumed normally fairly quickly. Authorities say there's no ongoing risk. No, this was not a fairly well planned attack. It was not something that was coordinated. There's no other thing going along with it. This was thwarted. This was taken care of. We all move on. We're glad we move on to a story this way. Unfortunately, we move on to the story where Diddy is working to get his conviction and present its appeal on the court ruling. His lawyers have filed a notice to appeal his conviction and sentence, previewing challenges on evidentiary and instruction grounds. The appeal posture is simple: narrow legal lanes, long timelines, and don't expect quick relief on this one. He's not getting out anytime soon, but maybe they can get him off. Um, the calculus for this means the partners will keep distance until the appellate clarity is there. They assume quarter by quarter reevaluations. Not going to be a quick, easy thing, like I said. So keep an eye on that one. Avoiding exoneration language, essentially saying he has been cleared, he is free. They're sticking to seek a review of the process. No one's saying Diddy didn't do bad things. They're not trying to go blow out in that way. But what they're saying is that the way things worked out, procedures, and the way the actual ongoings, the clockwork of the actual trial had some issues. And so, on those grounds, we should kick it. Because counsels think the record will withstand scrutiny because they think that he did it and he should be in jail for 80. We wrap things up with Disney Plus and Hulu, but it's technically Jimmy Kimmel as the wars on the subscription services are going crazy. Who's buying what? Who's keeping what? There was a large cancellation rate, but basically double the normal rate following Jimmy Kimmel's suspension a few weeks back. The antenna data shows that Disney Plus churn jumped from 4 to 8%, and Hulu from 5 to 10%, really doubling after the Kimmel suspension. The causation with correlation is sort of there, but they're assuming the timeline was just basically perfect because Jimmy Kimmel got dropped and people complained about it. That's when people drop their subscriptions. It just seems that they don't really have data, although data is they know what happened. But it is a classic causation versus correlation sort of event. Expect some promo heavy bundles and ways to get people back onto the channels now that Kimmel back, saving some money, including the brand new super bundle that's there that put ESPN together. Although it's more money for stuff, it's what it is. For streamers, late night controversies are now a miserable subscription impact. It is something as simple as a thing that got people to drop it. And were they all conservatives who were mad at Kimmel? Were they just people mad at ABC? It's hard to tell. I just know that a coincidence seems like at the time, when Kimmel was bounced and they didn't know when he was coming back, people decided they didn't need Hulu or Disney Plus, which is bundled with Hulu a lot. We are happy to give you this news update 5 days a week and other news hits all weekend long, all week, all the time. And we do it with the help of Ground News. And you can use Ground News in your personal work to make sure that you are getting the best news possible out there. What it does is it aggregates news stories from across the web, even when Amazon AWS is not working. And it tells you where things are coming from and some of the background on the people covering, who owns the business, who reports to the business, what the normal messages are. And with that, you see headlines that are side by side comparisons to see where the hyperbole is and where the truthiness may not be. And it shows you how things are being played out. In the simplest fact, basically Republican and Democrat, and what's in the middle for the more objective ways, things that are just the facts. That's the easiest way to describe it. So if you don't see it that way, I'm sorry, but it essentially shows you where your siloed news is coming from by showing whether your news source has a leaning towards the Reds news. Or as Chuck used to say, the donkey or the elephant. So how do you get this? Well, with our affiliate link, which is this conversationproject.com/broad news. We give you a path for a great deal. 40% off their plans off the bat. And what you can get with that one is various plans. Basic plan is basically less than $1 a month. Their Advantage plan, which allows you all the access, includes their blind spot feature, which allows you to see what stories are being overly played by your silo of choice and what stories are being underly played by them as well. So you can see what they really want you to see, don't want you to see. Exactly. So check it out. Get 40% off your plans at this is a conversationproject.com/Brown News. This is a conversationproject.com/Brown News. This is an affiliate link, and we get a small commission for that. But 40% off your plans. You're less than $10 a month for the Advantage plan. You get all the deets. We have that ourselves. We have a great, we've been using them before we became a link to an affiliate. We are glad they allowed us to be a part of folks that sell them to Brown News because it's a great thing to sell. Get it today. Get your news. Maybe not cleaner, but more defined with Brown News. Our website home is this.conversationproject.com. Our email address is conversationinbox@gmail.com. Facebook.com and X.com allow you to access our feed so you can see what we're talking about, what we're going to talk about. You really have to pick those stories. And we want you to stay involved, stay connected, stay with us here. As we are working to do bigger, better, badder things, we need your support. So emails with what we're doing that's going well and not so well are very important to me and to the whole process of the project. We thank you so much for being part of what we do every single day, even when we're not doing these things, even when we miss these things, because sometimes the real world gets kind of crazy, kind of sad. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. As I say these words and this video, thank you so much. As I said earlier, we're not talking about government shutdown, at least not news-wise. Today, as 21 days hits it, we are now at the second largest, longest shutdown in modern history. The longest one goes over 30 days, and that is owned by President 45, Donald Trump. Right now, 21 days seems like a lot. Another 20 days seems like a lot. We'll see if we can break the record. This might not be something that Trump actually wants to deal with because dealing with things like tearing down the White House. Yeah, on breaking news, I'm seeing there Kenny Loggins basically says he wants the AI video with his music really taken out. We actually talked about that one. I thought that had breaking news that it actually was removed. Kenny Loggins said no, he just wants to remove it. We already talked about that. So we're over talking. We're done. We're doing good. We didn't go too long today, so we're going to do our best to keep it in the 20s and not go into the 30s. Love you, mean it. Enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy your government shutdown Tuesday. Maybe they'll come together and talk today. I doubt it. You talk to great people, have great conversations. You can comment with us in the comments and with email so we can have great conversations ourselves. Even if Schumer and Hunter Jeffries and Thune and Johnson aren't. Love you.